A breadboard is used for really quickly prototyping a circuit just on a bench, and the idea is that you can take the wires that make up your circuit and just kind of plug them in onto the board in order to lay out the actual circuit that you're trying to experiment with. Now, in order to use a breadboard, it's really important to understand how each of these pins are connected. And so a breadboard will generally have one or more so-called power rails that run down in these cases on the outsides and also in the middle. And so there's usually a kind of a painted colored line, so you can see this blue line that runs down the side here. And that is a hint, that's an indicator to you that all of the holes that line up next to that blue line are all connected together. And similarly for the red line on the right-hand side here, again, all of these holes all the way down this entire breadboard are all connected together. Sometimes there's a gap in the middle, so you can see on this little board on the right-hand side here, these colored lines run sort of halfway down, and then there's a gap. And so what this indicates is that these power rails in the top half of the board are actually not connected to the power rails on the bottom half of the board. And if you want them to be connected, then you need to actually go and put little pieces of wire in there to actually create that bridge and connect them up if that's something that you want. Now, a full-size breadboard like this one will often have these little pins here that you can see at the top. And so these are for connecting banana plugs into, so you could run that then to your bench power supply. But if you're using these things for banana plugs, keep in mind that there's no connection from here to any of these power rails. So you have to wire that yourself. And the easiest way to do that, if you actually unscrew in here, you'll see there's a little hole in the middle, and what you do is you kind of take the wire and just poke it in through that hole, and then you can screw down on this pin, and so now you have this wire, and you then go and connect that to the power rail that you would like that particular voltage to actually be connected to. And then you can plug your banana plug in and take the other end of your banana plug and go put that into your bench power supply. If you're using a smaller breadboard like this one, then you don't really have those connectors for a banana plug, so the easiest thing to do is just use some alligator clips and some wires like I have done here. So in this example, let's have a look at this particular circuit. So I have a positive and a negative power supply rail. These are actually connected to a bench supply. And then I have a little light here, and I'm going to light this up. So first of all, I'll just connect it, and I will show you basically how this works. So if I plug in here, you see the light comes on because I complete the circuit. And so the flow of current starting from the positive rail goes like this, comes in from the power supply, goes through this positive rail, is jumped across here with this orange wire, then goes through the breadboard all the way across into the light, through the light, again all the way through the breadboard here to the brown wire, back to the negative rail, and then back to my power supply. So you'll notice here, if I take a wire, plug it into my negative rail, I can actually go to any of the spots which are in the same row as that pin on my light. You see all of these holes are all connected together. But if I go to the next row down, you see no connection, circuit is not completed. Again, next row up, not completed. If I go over the middle, so if I go from over here, you see not connected. There's no connection through the middle of this breadboard. That's true for this one as well. There's no connection through the middle here. If you want that connection, you have to add a wire and make it yourself. But it's just these 5 holes that are all here in this same row, which are all actually connected together. So basically that's how you would use a breadboard to lay out your circuit.